Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about how to transform a very complex format into a format that we can easily summarize, aggregate, and also to find some useful information from that. So here, this example was provided by one of my fans, and he has proposed this kind of template which suit the print purpose. You can see is very good when you have this kind of layout. So there's different layers of that. For example, the first hierarchy would be this report information. Say what's the report and it's related to who. And the second layer of this report, which is the second hierarchy, is this title. Under this title, you have different records, right? So under this title, you have these records. So each of them has this kind of hierarchy and structure. Over the bottom, you have some total and summarizations. So it's very good for presenting, say, the A4 paper in a portrait mode to a person. But when you try to say, I want to aggregate the numbers, it's hard to do that in Excel. So today we're going to see how we're going to transform this format into a tabular format by using the Power Query. So first, I have put this into a feed folder because I'm presuming that this was downloaded on the 14, right? In case you have another day to download for 15, 17, whatsoever, so you can put them into this folder. And then we know that there's a Power Query feature to read files from the folder. So we can utilize that function. So we're going back to the task one. I have this workflow empty as ready. So I just open this one. Once it's open, we're going to tell the Excel to get data from the folder. So choose the folder. Now we jump back into that task one folder and also the feed. Click OK. Once we click OK, it tells us there's one file in this folder and we just click transform, right? So in the transform, it's reading the file. We need to extend the content. This has been done. You can see there's already 3 columns because there's a delimiter column. We don't need that. We just need to put a comma. I want everything in one column so I can do whatever transformation that I want. Click OK. Now we can close this one, Just look at the feed. First column always is telling you the source. You can keep this. There's nothing wrong about that. So for the column 1, we just rename this as raw. And we know this is the raw. And then we have a scan of this data quickly. So everything in one column. And we mentioned that there are 3 layers, 3 hierarchies. First, very top one is telling you for this whole document is on this day for this and for this customer. Second hierarchy is this line of information saying what's the title of that transaction for a particular receiver. So you can see the reference and there's order and there's receiver, right? So that's the unit and cost. And the third layer, which is the bottom one, under each of these parent, there's some child records. So telling you what's the DKT, what's the product, what's the detail, and also the description. Okay, if this has been done, we can start our transformation process. Since there are 3 hierarchies in this document, we're going to segregate this document into 3 different query over here. So for this one, let's just do something cut and trim. So I don't need the first row. So you can just remove row top. Let's just put 1, click OK. And I remember the bottom, there's something I don't want. I don't want this one, and this one. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to remove row from the bottom, 5. Okay. Now let's have a look. The bottom has been cleaned. So you only have this top and then you have the child records. Okay. Now we have these blank things. So we need to remove them as well. So we can just say, click on the column. There's a transformation or there's removed arrows. We're going to remove the blank one. See what we can. There's a blank rows. Okay. Blank row has been removed. Looks like this is not blank. Let's just click this one. We can see there's something in this here. We can see is not blank. So we just untick this too. Okay. Then click OK. Okay. Now we have removed that. So we have first layer, second layer, third layer. So 3 layers information in this whole document. Then in case we have forgetting the order of this kind of thing, because the order matters, right? So all the records under this 18 rows gonna be under this family, this parent records. So we need to add an additional helper column, which is the index column from 1 to help us to snapshot this moment. Because if I say I messed around with the order, you can always go into here to sort it back. You can always say ascending order. It will have that ready. So That's why we use this as an anchor point. So we can always going back to whatever that we like. So once we have this, we need to duplicate this one. Remember, we tackled the information from 3 hierarchies. First is the report layer information. We're going to rename this as info report. Okay. For this report, I only need the top 3. So we can just go into the home tab and remove the rows. We're going to keep the rows, keep the top rows. We only know that the 3 and keep them. Once we have done this, we know that this 3 is supposed to be stay in the one row, because each of the underlying parent information, child information, they are all talking about these 3 lines. So if I try to align them, I need to transpose this information. Let's just hit the transpose. Once I transpose, you can see I have this over the top, and this is the second, and this is the third. So we don't need this line information. We don't need this one. So we just need this one. So we can say, since it's in this order, we can just go into the home tab. We can say remove row, top row, and also remove from the bottom. Now keep this one. And then how do I join this back to this document? It's pretty easy. We can just add additional column custom, and we can say info, can say report index. For this report index, I'm 1. And same thing, I'm going to have this, I'm going to call this raw index. We're going to add the report index in this one, because each line of them is the report index. So I can just add additional column custom. We say report index, and the number going to be 1. Okay. Since both of the table has this common column, say report index, so I can merge them together to have that ready. So each line will have a record of this kind of information, which is a report level. We can rename this as report. Before we do that, we need to split this one, because they have date and time. Say we just say there is a split column. We're gonna not by limiter, by the number of characters. We know this is 668, so let's just put 9. See how it goes. Now this has become time. This become date. That's fine. So I change this. Say report time. This is going to be report date. This is going to be just a report name, report company. I'm going to say report customer. Okay. Now I have done this. So next time when I use this as a base and merge query with this one, I'm able to review this one as that information and repeat each line bottom up of everything. So this one has been done ready. Now we come back to here. We're going to duplicate that once more. For this time, I'm going to target the info, just a parent. So parent is this records. Okay, those records are parents, right? And you toggle those records. So for this parent information, we just need to keep this line, and this line. If we check the difference between the parent and child, the significant is that the parent, you always have a date and a slash. So we can simply use a slash to find all of them and then click OK. Now we have the parent been chosen. In that way, I also keep those index so I can refer back to that. That's good. Since I have this ready, so I'm going to say parent, just say parent. And in this parent, I need to do this one, duplicate column. Okay, let's just move after that. The reason I'm duplicate that, because I want to keep it intact. I'm just going on this one. Okay, so for this one, you can see that we need to split the data into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. So that's pretty easy. Let's just do them one by one. So the first time we go into the split column, we by number of characters as well. So we can see there's 5 numbers, but there's something in front. So 6, choose the first one. Now you have this done. And I do that again. Going to this one. I've counted that's 10 numbers, and include this one is 10, and there's one in the front, so 11, and use this one. Okay, I've segregated that. This one, I'm going to do the same trick, but I don't know how many, so I just put 30 to the first one. Okay, it looks like all good. So I have split 3 columns. For this part, I'm going to use a simple way, just delimiter and just use space and each occurrence. Once this has been done, you can see your data was scattered. That's fine. Let's just choose this first one and go into the right-hand side to find where the data has occurred. Okay, so hold Shift, make sure you select. So everything here is selected, and right-click. There's a remove column. Okay, that's our first date. And second day, we select this one. Go into the far right-hand side, Okay, that's the date. Hold shift. So we don't need this remove column. So our two date has been put together. And for this part, I'm going to just go into the far end. That's it. I don't need them. Okay. Now I have kept the original format, and also I have this split column ready for me. And I need to rename the title. For example, this one is what, if we're going to back here, you can see this number 31547 is reference. And this is the order and the receiver and the two dates, right? Whatever. Okay. So we can say this is the order, and this is one is a reference. This one, let's just say receiver. And this one, I don't know what's that date. Let's just put date 1. This one will be date 2. Okay. Since we have this ready, we need to check the data format. So order normally is a text, and reference number is also text. Let's just trim that in case we have some leading space. I don't know. This one, we definitely have a leading space, so we just trim that directly. Trim, you can see it's more tidy. This part is date already, but let's just see how it goes. Okay, this is date already. You can see this little icon is date already, so that's all good. Okay, now we have done the parent. Then we're gonna, based on this, we can duplicate that. We say info child. So for the child, we're actually looking at the opposite of the slash. So we can click here. Can say text does not contain the slash. Now I'm choosing all the child, but I don't need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because I already treat this data, which is under the report. The parent, the title, we can always rename that easy. So I don't need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't need them. Just remove them. 5. Okay. Now our data is always the child data. Okay. Before we do that, we need to define the child is under which parent. So let's just going back. Okay. So since here in the parent, we already have parent reference. Wait a second, child. Okay. So in the parent, we need to assign a parent index for these kind of things. Let's just do that. Add additional column. Just add an index from 1. So we can call this parent index. Once we have this parent index, under the child, since already we still have this parent, we can join them together. So this one, I will find a record from the parent based on this value. So I know the index is what. And most importantly is that for those child records, you can't find anything, we can use a fill down feature. I'm going to present that to you. So first, let's just go into the home. Let's just merge this query. We merge this with the parent. Info parent. We know that the raw under the child is actually the same thing as the parent. You can see the record over here. We're matching this one 31547 with this one. That's why we select these two columns, match them together. Then I can review this parent index in this child table. I click OK. It has this kind of thing. That's fine. We can just get the parent index. Okay. Once we have that, you can see for each of the parent records, if we just move this a little bit smaller, you can see for each of the parent records, you have this 5, right? This one is 4. And if you're going up, there's nothing here because the order has been changed. Remember, we have a raw index to reorder that in the correct order. Reorder that. Now it's become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the ascending order exactly. And then if I look at this, it's making sense, right? So this record is under this parent, which is the parent index 1. All of them supposed to has this 1 attached. So I know they're from the same family. Likewise, this one, this is the parent 2. All of them is from the parent 2 because I have this raw index to fix the position of each record. So all you need to do, going here, click, there is a fill and fill down. If you click this one, now you can see, since we have 1 as an anchor over the top, once you fill down, all the child records attract this number 1. From this, parent 2 will attract number 2. So I have regrouped them together by this column. That's pretty important when we transform this info child table. Okay. Once we have this, we can safely remove the parents since we're talking to the child. So we do the same thing, does not contain / okay. And I don't need these 5 rows. Just remove the top 5. Okay. Now all the child, I know they're from which family because this is 1. So that's from family 1, from parent 1. Okay. Now we do the same trick as we did for the parent. Just need to split this column. Just right click there's a split column. We're not going to buy it because you can see there's a space in between this kind of description. If you use a space, it's going to causing trouble. So we right click split, we buy this kind of number characters. So we have more control over that. This one, I don't know how many characters. Let's just put 15, choose the first one. 15 looks like fine. You can see that's okay. Let's do the second one, the first one, and then we say, let's say 20, see how it goes. The first one, 20 seems like fine. Then we come to this one. We do the split. This one, let's just say 30, see how it goes. 30 looks fine for me. Okay, for this one, it's a little bit different. You know that there's a lot of space in the front of this kind of 16 and after the CT. So I'm not going to split that. I'm going to trim that first. I don't want those leading zero. And then I know that all the values is just one number and the space and the unit. And then you can use the split column delimiter. This one just default. We can just each occurrence. That's fine. Now we have this one. Okay. Whenever you split the column, make sure you check the data type. For this one, I know it's going to be a text because you are not going to use any calculations. Say this one plus this one means something. It's not meaningful. So the text, this one is text as well. We right click. We need to trim that. They have leading zeros. This one we trim that as well. Okay, it's text. Fine. This one is number. No issue on that. CT we know is text, so it's aligned to. Make sure you have no space to trim that once again. Okay, seems like all good. So this is the child table, and if you look at the back end, so I can review on this child table based on this reference. I can review the info from the report. So I just merge them. So each line will track a report information. And also each line has a parent index. I can look back to merge with the info parent table to find this record is from parent 3. And parent 3 has those kind of column for me to expand my information on the child table. So let's just make this child table intact. Let's just make a reference. Let's make this as a final. So for the final, we need to replace those values with the correct information. Let's just do them one by one. First, we review the information from the report layer. We need to select the final and go into this merge query, choose the report, info report. We know that we can use this report index as a common field. This report index, since they're all one, can see 261 records of okay. We click this one. We only need report time, report date, report company, report customer. We don't need that index. Okay. Once this has been reviewed, you don't need the report index. You can delete that. Okay. Now we have this report information being reviewed. Let's just move this to the front. Okay. Give it some time because there's a quick way, but now I'm just showing you the manual way. So you have a file name and also the report information. This is the file, right? And then we review the information from the parent table. We select the final again, merge again with parent. We know there's a key. We can use parent index. On the parent table, we also has a parent index. So exact same amount of record has a match. To have that, expand that, untick that. In the parent, we need parent. We need order, reference number, receiver, day 1, day 2, right? The rest, I don't need that. This index. Okay, once we have that, it's reviewed, make sure they're selected. Then I'm going to drag this information after the report layer. So it will have a clear structure for the user. Okay, this is the report customer. You can see that. Then just after that, so you have your parent information ready. And then going back to here, this is the child information. Child information, let's just look at that. I don't know what this reference number. I just make it DKT, I think. This will be the product. And this one will be the description. This one will be the quantity. This one will be the unit. Okay. Once I have renamed that, I can remove those index, right? But parent, we can just remove this one. The raw index, I won't keep them because that's telling us a snapshot order of the original from the original file. So this source.name, I just keep it. It's fine for me. So for this day, I have 3 layer information: report layer and the parent layer and also the child layer. We're going back to the raw. We have the report layer information, parent layer information, and child layer information. So that's our final. So for this final, we can just close and load to. We're going to do a pivot table over here. Click OK. We can close this one. Just keep this other ready. Okay. Once we have done this, we know that we're using the final, right? So let's just say what kind of receiver we have in the company. Okay, that's the receiver. And then for each of them, what is going to be the date? You have date. Also, you have a report date. So report date is this one. And let's just say how many quantity. So that's the quantity for each of them. Okay, once we have dumped this data into this pivot table format, we want to do the last step, which is testing. Since we know that when we download the file into the folder, you have 14s. Sometimes you dump into another period of information, say 15, right? So we just copy this and paste. Once we paste that, we just, for example, we name this as a 15 and we do a little bit change of the data. For example, I will make this 15 and also I will remove all the data over the bottom up to here. Okay, and this one you can leave that because remember our step, we have removed this top row whatsoever. The time, let's just say change this to 21. So this is 15 data, only have 2 parents and all the rest is the same. And then if we change this to save, okay, and then we take this out of this folder. So we cut this and paste it here. So in the feed, now we only have the 15 data, which captured at 29 p.m. And then we go into this Excel spreadsheet. If we refresh that, you can see now it's only have this kind of 15 data. If we drag this back, because the 15 that I put in, and if I go into the back end, just going to edit, check the time of the report is already 9 p.m. Did you see that? So in this way, we have checked that workflow is fine as long as I put one file into that, and no matter what's inside, it will be transformed correctly to this pivot table. And you can see the 2 companies are the same. That's why when I drag this kind of, if you're going to the design, going to this one field list, that's why when I drag this receiver, it's going to aggregate into one. So how I'm going to reverse back, I can just cut this back to here. I delay this 15. Now our 14 is our original document. Then I'm going to refresh that, click refresh. Now your 14 data is coming back with all the list receiver. Yes, that's pretty much for today. Let's just recap. So today we have used the Excel Power Query feature to transform a printable file, CSV, into a usable tabular format and also transform it into this PV. So you can have a quickly scan through summarization, make it usable. And there's a lot of transformation happened because we need to identify the hierarchy of the document. 3 hierarchy in this document: report layer, parent layer, and children layer. By segregating them into different query, I'm able to analyze them separately and then join them together to this final document. So I can use a pivot table, or you don't like this, just delete that. And you can say load to into a table format for you to do anything, because we have the correct anchor point of each line. You will have the report information, parent information, and also the child information. Okay, so that's pretty much for today. Thanks for joining this session and see you guys in the next one.